Voters, as Minister of Justice, I appeal to you, obey the road code, pay your ticket on time, and only go to court if the ticket is being contested. Close to 80% of matters coming to the parish courts are for traffic breaches. Let's work together to make our roads safe and ease the burden on our courts.
Do your part to prevent mosquito breeding. Mosquitoes will breed in any container that holds water.
Tightly cover water storage containers such as drums, barrels, buckets and tanks. If this cannot be done, pour cooking oil on the water surface. Punch holes in all tins, plastics and beverage boxes to prevent the collection of water before disposal. Cover all tires or fill with dirt to prevent water collection. Scrub all vases once per week to remove mosquito eggs. Use mosquito repellents to protect yourself from mosquito bites. Dispose of garbage properly by placing in plastic bags and securing properly to prevent water collection.
A message from the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
Cook it up and make we steam it. Fresh so me need it, tilapia a real fish. Cook it up and make we roast it. Farm fresh so me need it, tilapia a real fish. Grow smart at the best part. Food for thought so me have to eat smart. Easy catch, fully net. A tilapia so you don't know what's next. Cook it up and make we fry it. Fresh so me need it, tilapia a real fish. Bring home the best in freshwater fish. High content of vitamin B3, protein and potassium. Tilapia, simple, healthy, delicious.
Jamaica, I can help you protect our citizens.
Jamaica Eye will play a part in increasing your public safety.
Jamaica Eye is part of an island-wide network of camera surveillance systems designed to increase the safety of you, our citizens. If you have a camera system outside your home or office facing a public space, log on to jamaicai.gov.jm today. Jamaica Eye, we're all connected. The Ministry of National Security, creating a safer and prosperous Jamaica.
Dengue is ordinarily a mild disease. Persons may get a fever, headache, joint and muscle pains. The illness is often resolved through rest and adequate hydration along with paracetamol to treat the accompanying fever. However, on occasions the illness can progress to severe dengue, which can result in organ failure, bleeding and severe fluid depletion that can lead to shock and even death. Therefore, it is important for persons who are experiencing fever, vomiting, severe abdominal pain, bleeding under the skin, feeling very weak, or getting confused to seek immediate attention. Let us work together to protect ourselves against dengue.
What if I told you that you own thousands of acres of land, more than 100 companies with over 100,000 employees and billions in the bank? Well, I have news for you. You do. Jamaica belongs to you, and you need expert protection to safeguard those assets for your future, your children, and your children's children. And you already have it. A key protector is our Auditor General, whose role is outlined by the biggest, baddest law in all the land, the Constitution. The Auditor General's main job is to examine the financial reports of all public entities to ensure that they are accurate and that public funds are used appropriately and effectively to deliver public goods and services without waste, theft, and mismanagement. Here's how it's done. A team of highly trained auditors reviews and verifies that the right amount of money is spent on only what's approved in the national budget and in accordance with the laws and policies that protect public resources. Now, the right amount of money can be spent on the right things and Jamaicans still no benefit. So the Auditor General assesses the outcome for programs and projects as well. Audit reports will also contain recommendations to improve the operations of the audited entity, and the findings are submitted to the Parliament's Public Accounts Committee, the PAC. Every year, an annual report is submitted by December 31. Both government and opposition MPs serve on the PAC, and they summon public entity managers to answer questions so that they and the public, the real owners, yes, you, can understand what went wrong and how to prevent a recurrence. What are some things that can and do go wrong? Cost and time overruns, missing financial reports, unreported losses, unauthorized spending, unsupported payments, unlawful contracting, undisclosed conflict of interest, and more. Though the AG identifies the abuse of laws and policies, the law does not empower that office to penalize or sanction, but it does empower the Financial Secretary in the Ministry of Finance. It is also the duty of other anti-corruption and law enforcement bodies to grab the baton and investigate to ensure penalties are applied when appropriate. But the AG alone can't watch all. So when things don't look straight, the Minister of Finance, members of Parliament, Cabinet, public servants, and importantly, you must blow the whistle and the AG will look deeper. So this is where you come in, with 4 things you can do to strengthen those who are fighting to protect our future. Tune into PBCJ on Tuesdays for the PAC and mind your business, Jamaica. It's our belongings, but we have to move like we understand that. And next time you hear a news report about the AG, you just left it up to the media. Visit the AG's website at www.auditorgeneral.gov.jm and check out the findings yourself. Then, keep track of how government has fixed the issue or not at www.jampja.org's accountometer. And if you're not happy with what you see, it's your job to contact your employees. It's easy when you visit the MP tracker on jampja.org. This is how we can do our part to make Jamaica land we own, Jamaica land we love, and Jamaica land we run well. A message from the Jamaica Accountability Meter portal, funded by the European Union and UK Aid.
Zoom in on the nutrition facts. It there in the table by the side or the back. You fi check out the servings, just do the maths. Not taking too much, finger below the facts. Zoom in on the nutrition facts. It there in the table by the side or the back. Take note of the sodium, the sugars and the fats by percent and less in on the right track. You fi zoom in on the nutrition facts. It there in the table by the side or the back. Vitamins, minerals and vitamin 2, 20% and more that good for you. You fi zoom in, check the nutrition facts. You fi zoom in, check the nutrition facts. You fi zoom in, check the nutrition facts. Less sugar, less salt intake and less fat. You fi zoom in.
A message from the Ministry of Health and Wellness, Jamaica Moves, the Heart Foundation of Jamaica, the National Health Fund, and JAP.
Once upon a time in a Caribbean island known for its rich culture and natural beauty, lived a group of people who were buried in piles and piles and more piles of paper. Papers spanning back to the start of time. Then came a bright idea, harnessing technology to work smarter and not harder. The government of Jamaica is improving its operations to serve citizens better. Many services are now available online, and there's more to come. The government of Jamaica, building a better public sector for all.
Are you an entrepreneur producing an excellent Jamaican product or service? Did you know you can earn hard currency and more significant returns by exporting? Contact the Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce to help propel your business along the export lane.
Everything you can produce, the Jamaicans overseas want it. We're not going to get rich by just bringing down the debt. We're going to get rich by exporting a lot more. So grow exports, create job opportunities, drive economic growth through exports to make Jamaica a richer and much more prosperous country.
Today, we can report 2 consecutive years of reduction in major crimes and murders, with a significant reduction of almost 20% in murders for 2024.
Between January 2022 and January 2025, we have reduced murders by 51%, and January 2025 had the lowest monthly murder count since September 2014.
Our efforts have also resulted in the reduction of active gangs by 50%. We continue to increase firearm seizures, and in more communities, we are experiencing less violence. We will realize our vision of Jamaica as the place of choice to live, work, do business, raise families, and retire in peace and prosperity.
The proceeding was brought to you by the Office of the Prime Minister.
Do your part to prevent mosquito breeding. Mosquitoes will breed in any container that holds water.
Tightly cover water storage containers such as drums, barrels, buckets and tanks. If this cannot be done, pour cooking oil on the water surface. Punch holes in all tins, plastics and beverage boxes to prevent the collection of water before disposal. Cover all tires or fill with dirt to prevent water collection. Scrub all vases once per week to remove mosquito eggs. Use mosquito repellents to protect yourself from mosquito bites. Dispose of garbage properly by placing in plastic bags and securing properly to prevent water collection.
A message from the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
Jamaica, I can help you protect our citizens.
Jamaica Eye will play a part in increasing your public safety.
Jamaica Eye is part of an island-wide network of camera surveillance systems designed to increase the safety of you, our citizens. If you have a camera system outside your home or office facing a public space, log on to jamaicaeye.gov.jm today. Jamaica Eye, we're all connected. The Ministry of National Security, creating a safer and prosperous Jamaica.
So who keeps our taxpayer money in check? Well, the PAC and PAAC help watch over the country's budget. And one might sound like it just have an extra A, but they're way different. Here's how. The PAAC and PAC are two committees that watch the money. The Public Accounts Committee reviews government projects after them close. They do a post-audit check to see what problems arose with the costs and call officials to explain decisions that cause budget mismanagement. And then they recommend corrective action. So the problem will happen from when, not happen again. But what about the money we are spending right now? The PAAC. That's how Public Administration and Appropriations Committee pretty much means how your money will protect as it happen, we check. While projects go on, things are fair accurate. As government spend the nation's budget, PAAC reviews it. They examine proposals and summon officials to find problems before them don't use it. So the PAC and PAAC are two parliamentary committees that watch over the country's wallet to protect the budget and keep it in check. And you can get involved. Just visit jampja.org.
Join the conversation focusing on Jamaica's development. Tune in to the post-cabinet press briefings, Wednesdays live at 9 a.m. with a rebroadcast at 9 p.m. right here on PBCJ, the People's Station.
We want a peace for Jamaica. Yeah. We have to be our brother's keeper. Yeah. Jamaica live good, yeah. I make we enjoy life. What we feel safe at night. Jamaica live good. I better you and I. No say we future bright. Jamaica live good. Come together as one. I make the violence the one.
Me, I go show them my way of justice.
I'm abused.
I need legal advice. I don't deserve this.
The truth of the matter is, justice there for all of we. The Ministry of Justice has trained more than 5,600 persons in restorative justice practices. More than 200,000 victims have been supported by the victim services. Legal aid has reached thousands island-wide. Make we talk it out, not fight it out. Call 888 Justice today.
Attitude is something which productivity will require, and a good attitude. So these are conversations which are difficult. Because how do you instill a good attitude? It starts by the kinds of activities that you engage your children in at an early age. What are we teaching our children even in our own homes? How do they see us reacting to challenges? How do they hear us addressing issues? That's what's going to shape their attitude and their mindset.
Me, I go show them my way of justice.
I'm abused.
I need legal advice. I don't deserve this.
The truth of the matter is, justice there for all of we. The Ministry of Justice has trained more than 5,600 persons in restorative justice practices. More than 200,000 victims have been supported by the victim services. Legal aid has reached thousands island-wide. Make we talk it out, not fight it out. Call 888 Justice today.
A new story is being written for all Jamaicans. The Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation is on a mission to transform lives. From increasing access to potable water, providing secure homes for the most vulnerable, and helping you own a piece of the rock. We're revitalizing communities and preserving our environment. We're making an impact. See the difference. Feel the difference. Building a better Jamaica for you and me.
You can feel it. Make JC.
All right, can we have prayers, please? And come on, Senator Gale.
Let us pray. Most righteous and heavenly Father, again, this is another day to which you have granted us. You have granted us this day with peace, with life, with health, and with strength. We ask you to guide us through these proceedings of our standing orders, the rules that you govern. We ask for those who are on their way to take them here safely so that they too can participate. Lord, these we ask always in your merciful name. Amen.
Thank you, Senator Gale. Any apologies for absence? Senator Vincent got an apology from him, our substantive chair, as well as Senator Scott Motley. Senator Longmore has also apologized. He's off the island, I believe. That's it. In respect to apologies, all right, I thank everybody for being present today, and we'll see if we can move towards concluding some of these sticky items that we have been doing for quite a while. We have the reading of the minutes. The minutes were circulated. Minutes of the last Standing Orders Committee meeting, which was held on June 27, 2025. And so we have page 1. Page 2. And as you would recall, page 2 basically is dealing with Standing Order 81, I think, which were carried on from the even a previous meeting. It has several matters which are of concern to members, the use of the word strangers, and the process for withdrawal or request for withdrawal from the chamber, and how that process should go. It continues around on to page 3. And on page 4, I believe membership came to some consensus in respect to how the process or what was required in respect to the amendment. Sorry.
Just a slight amendment on page 4,
yes.
paragraph 3, line 5, where it states, additionally, Ms. Lowe recommended extending the definition to include the purposes for which members of the public were permitted to attend sittings and to clarify that they were allowed to observe the proceedings but not to participate in them except where they were called to appear before a committee. That was not actually the nature of the recommendation. Ms. Lowe actually requested an amendment to paragraph 1 of clause or standing order 81 to include the word observe. So the amendment would read, strangers may be admitted to observe debates. Right, so it's not conveying properly the recommendation by Madam Clerk.
All right, so let me get the amendment that it would remove the entire paragraph.
Yes, it would.
Or sentence, sorry.
Yes.
And to replace it with?
To replace it with Ms. Lowe recommended an amendment to Standing Order 81, paragraph 1, to include the word observe. To include the word observe. As a result, the amendment would read, strangers may be admitted to observe the debates in the Senate under such rules as the President may from time to time make for that purpose. So the recommendation that Ms. Lowe made is not in regards to the amendment of the definition of members of the public, but it's specifically in regards to paragraph 1 of Standing Order 81.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. So as I indicated, the membership had come to certain a consensus in relation to some changes to be made, and that continues on to page 5, in which the committee members would have agreed to say that, and Ms. Stewart also, that in respect to the proposed redraft of 81, that she understood and the instructions were given, and we will get to that in a moment. So can I have confirmation? Sorry, Senator Gale.
Before you confirm, sir, can I have a recommittal to apologies? Senator Floyd Morris just called to say he is running late.
Okay, to apologize.
To apologize,
yes.
Right.
Okay.
And so that being said, sir, I'm in approval or agreement of these minutes.
So you're moving for the minutes with the amendment as...
With the amendments.
Yes.
As proposed.
Seconded by Senator Morgan. All right. So we will move on to matters arising from the minutes. And as I indicated, page 5 indicated that, and I'll just read it. Chairman stated that the essence of the proposed redraft had been captured. He asked that Mr. Stewart prepare and circulate before the committee's next meeting. I understand that the redraft was circulated, and I will now turn over to Ms. Stewart to ask her to take us through the proposed amendment to Standing Order 81. I see it also, well, let us deal with 81, and in the, there's also in this document that was circulated reference to Standing Order 78, but we'll go through 81, see if we can just sign off on that, and then we can look at what is contained in relation to where we determine how we proceed, whether we just move forward or go back to 78 and deal with that. Thank you. Ms. Stewart, go ahead.
Chair and committee members. Now, the Standing Orders Committee of the Senate, during its review of Standing Order 81, Strangers, in meeting held on the 27th, the 20th of June, and the 16th of May, recommended an amendment to delete reference to the term strangers on the basis it is an archaic terminology which should be replaced with a more contemporary and culturally appropriate and acceptable term. The committee also recommended the redrafting of paragraph 2 of Standing Order 81 on the premise that the provision is ambiguous and fails to outline the circumstances or reason, for example, in-camera proceedings or disorderly conduct, which may justify the removal or withdrawal of individuals from the chambers and its precincts by the President of the Senate. The committee also recommended the inclusion of a new paragraph to explicitly address the issue of public decorum and conduct during the sittings of the Senate. So, guided by the Erskine May, the standing orders of the UK, particularly the House of Commons and other Commonwealth jurisdictions, the Standing Order 81 has been redrafted to incorporate the recommendations of the committee. Now, please be advised that the term strangers, as we have previously discussed, has been substituted with members of the public, and a definition has been included in the new paragraph 8 of the redrafted Standing Order. Now, just a little background. In the UK, stranger was a term used for anyone who was not a member of either the House of Commons or the House of Lords. However, in 2004, a motion was approved implementing the recommendation of the Modernization Select Committee that the term stranger no longer be used and replaced with either member of the public or the public to reflect a more inclusive approach. Additionally, the motion that strangers do now withdraw was a traditional request for members of the public to leave the galleries of the House in order for chambers to sit in private to deliberate on sensitive legislative matters. Now, following a request from the Modernization Committee again, this procedure has been abolished and replaced with a simpler one based on the motion that the House, or in this case the Senate, sit in private. A similar legislative approach has been incorporated in the new paragraph 2 and 3 of the redrafted Standing Order. Now, based on the aforementioned, this is now the proposed redrafted Standing Order 81. So, paragraph 1. Members of the public may be admitted to observe debates in the Senate under such rules that the President may from time to time make for that purpose. So there's the inclusion of the word observe, just to clarify the purpose for which members of the public are admitted to the Senate and its precincts. 2, a member at any sitting of the Senate may, without notice and at any time, for the purpose of enabling a matter to be debated in the absence of members of the public, move that the Senate, there's a typo there, editorial error, it says House, it should be that the Senate sit in private, and the President shall forthwith put the question that the Senate sit in private without debate or amendment. Paragraph 3, when the matter which gave rise to the motion has been disposed of, a member with the consent of the President may move that the members of the public be readmitted, and the President shall forthwith put the question without debate or amendment. 4, the President may, whenever he thinks fit, order the withdrawal of members of the public from any part of the chambers and its precincts, and may order the doors of the chambers to be closed. Paragraph 5, members of the public shall preserve silence and conduct themselves in a fit and proper manner during a sitting. In the event of disorder, the President may order the withdrawal of members of the public from the chambers and its precincts. Members of the public shall withdraw, that's paragraph 6, from the chambers and its precincts when called upon to do so by the President. Paragraph 7. We had initially discussed that paragraph 7, well, not everyone agreed that paragraph 7 should have been deleted, but based on reconsideration that members of the press definitely will be here, and there needs to be a provision, as Ms. Zemini had outlined in our last meeting, that basically governs the decorum, the conduct of the press. So one may argue they should be classified as members of the public, but we strongly believe that paragraph 5, which is the new paragraph 7, should remain for the purpose of specificity in terms of the conduct, regulating the conduct of members of the press. So there's a slight amendment based on the Trinidad Standing Order. Slight amendment outlined in the underline. So it should read, the President may grant general permission to the representative of any journal or newspaper or other medium of public information. The other medium of public information would capture the whole context of the live stream, the PBC, right, to attend sittings of the Senate under such rules as he may make from time to time for that purpose. If such rules are contravened, such permission may be revoked. And the new paragraph 8, for the purposes of this standing order, member of the public means any person other than the President, a member in good standing, and any required parliamentary staff. May it so please you. Comments?
Senator Gill.
Paragraph, section 1. Members of the public may be admitted to observe debates in the Senate under such rules as the President may from time to time make for that purpose. So that this now gives the President the authority to change, amend, insert new rules as applicable. In other words, a kind of fluid authority on the part of the President. Okay. And then under the 7, so what we're accustomed to, we see the people up there and they just attend, walk through, I assume, the doors of the Parliament and proceed. Is this now saying that they have to get the approval of the President or the permission from the President to be in attendance?
They wouldn't need the approval of the President to be in attendance. What needs to happen is a tradition where Madam Clerk would have been notified, let's say, for example, that a school will be attending the sittings of the Senate. But in terms of, let's say, for example, going back to the new...
Why I ask is that it commenced with the President may grant general permission.
Okay.
In my mind, that gives the President the sole authority.
May, it doesn't say shall.
Okay.
So that's the distinction, may versus shall, in the terms of a legislative drafting context. May, there's discretion, there's flexibility, it's optional. But when you use shall, it is mandatory, it's compulsory.
Fine. Thank you, Chair.
All right, thank you, Senator Gill. Senator Morgan? Nothing? Nothing to add? So in respect to the proposed redraft of Standing Order 81, is that acceptable to the members? Seems to me to be quite comprehensive. It is stated in very simple terms, and I believe for my own self, having regard to what was there, it has cleared up the various ambiguities. I have no issue with it. Senator Gill.
For me, sir, we would have had an extensive discussion around this particular item, raising concerns in the various areas. And now that it has been expanded from 5 to 7, giving clarity in certain areas, I'm in acceptance of it. I think it would have met the expectations of the members.
Senator Morgan?
I concur, Chairman. Have no objection to the proposed redraft of SO 81.
And being the linguist that you are, that seems to have put the icing on the cake. And so we can say that Standing Order Standing Order 81 will be amended as contained in this draft proposal. And we wish to thank Ms. Stewart and all the members of the team that would have worked with her in putting this together. Right. All right, so that takes care of Standing Order 81. Let me just, should we go back to the others? Was there any? Okay, so we just move on to that one. All right. Yes, Senator again.
We are at a different part of the agenda, sir, but Senator Shireen Golden Campbell has also extended her apologies. She'll be absent.
Okay. Thank you very much, Senator Gill. All right. So we will do a revert to Standing Order 78 because I believe there, not believe, it is contained in the paper prepared by Ms. Stewart, and I just asked Ms. Stewart to let us go back to 78, so that persons who either may have been absent or persons who are listening from another place, that they would appreciate what it is that 78 was dealing with. 78, Standing Order 78, dealt with absence of members. 78 has 3 subparagraphs, and I'll just quickly go through them. So 78.1, it says that any member who is prevented from attending a meeting of the Senate shall acquaint the clerk as early as possible of his inability to attend. Such notices to be in writing. 78.2, if without the written leave of the President given before the end of the period specified in subparagraph B of this paragraph, A, any member is in any one session absent from the Senate for more than 5 consecutive sittings, and B, such absences occur during a period not exceeding 41 days, that member shall, subject to paragraph 3 of this order, vacate his seat in the Senate under section 41 of the Jamaica Constitution, Order in Council 1962. So paragraph 3, that where a member fails to obtain due leave of absence, and B, within 10 days after the end of the period aforesaid, satisfies the President in writing that such failure or absence was unavoidable, paragraph 2 of this order shall not apply to that member. So that's dealing with the absence of members of the Senate from the sitting of the Senate and what the consequences of that absence would be and how you can circumvent it by seeking leave, etc., etc. Okay, so over to you again, Ms. Stewart.
Thank you, Chair. So the committee in reviewing Standing Order 78, which as the Chair outlined is based on absence of members, a controversial topic, proposed an amendment to include a provision which mandates the members of the Senate to apply to the President for leave of absence in the event that a member may be absent from the Senate for more than 5 consecutive sittings within a period not exceeding 41 days. Section 41, paragraph 1C of the Constitution, which pertains to tenure of office of senators and members of the House of Representatives, stipulates that a member's seat would become vacant if they were absent from the sittings for such a period and under such circumstances as prescribed in the standing orders. Subsequently, the legal rationale for the amendment of Standing Order 78 is to prevent the invocation and application of Section 41, 1C of the Constitution. Now, the legal team recommended that the proposed amendment may be achieved by either amending paragraph 78.2 or renumbering paragraph 2 as paragraph 3 and inserting a new paragraph 2. Now, guided by the standing orders of the UK, the latter legislative approach, that is the insertion of a new clause or paragraph 2, was undertaken, as it provides flexibility to adequately address the ambiguity and legal gaps between paragraph 78.1 and 78.2 to give effect to the new policy recommendation by the committee. Now, based on the recommendations by the committee, the following is the proposed amendment to Standing Order 78. So, Standing Order 78 is amended in paragraph 1. Paragraph 1 by deleting the words, any member who is prevented from attending, and substituting therefore. Therefore is a legislative drafting term. The word any member who is unable to attend. I think it was Senator Morgan who recommended that amendment to paragraph 1. B, by renumbering paragraph 2 and 3 as paragraph 3 and 4. And C, inserting next after paragraph 1 the following. So this is a new paragraph 2. Any member who is unable to attend the sittings of the Senate for such period as specified in paragraph 3 shall apply in writing to the President in such form and manner as may be prescribed by the President to obtain leave of absence within 10 days of the intended date of absence, specifying the period of absence, the period of absence, B, the reason for the leave of absence, and any other relevant information. Now, why 10 days? Our current paragraph 3 states where a member fails to obtain due leave of absence and within 10 days after the end of the period aforesaid, satisfy the President in writing that such failure or absence was unavoidable, paragraph 2 of this order shall not apply to that member. So for the purposes of consistency, I maintained the concept of the 10 days, but we can discuss and determine if an amendment is required. Thank you, Chair.
All right. Members, any comments you wish to make? Any query? Senator, sorry, Senator.
Let me just clarify when the application is made. Ms. Stewart, I just want to appreciate when the application is made. Is it prior to the intended leave of absence? Prior to.
Yeah.
So then you would know that it's a planned leave of absence.
Yes, that's correct.
But how do we treat with a situation? I agree with the deleting the words preventing, because there's a fundamental difference between you being prevented as opposed to you being unable to. But suppose in circumstances where a senator takes sick and is not able to apply for that leave of absence, unforeseen circumstances, how could that be treated? Because in a workplace, someone can call the employer on behalf of that employee. But in this case, it's unforeseen. I recall Senator Lambert Brown when he took ill and had to be absent. I'm not aware of the circumstances that dictated whether there would have been conversation between him, but it's unforeseen. A senator may be unable to convey or communicate.
Excellent question. And that senator or member rather would be protected under our current paragraph 3, which would be our new paragraph 4.
The new paragraph 4.
Right, because it says where a member fails to obtain due leave of absence and within 10 days. Now, I understand based on what you have outlined, 10 days may be too short.
Too short.
So maybe we could consider an amendment here to extend the 10 days timeline. But let me proceed. It says within 10 days after the end of the period aforesaid, satisfy the president in writing that such failure or absence was unavoidable. Then paragraph 2, which relates to section 41 of the Constitution, would not apply. And I think based on the circumstances you have outlined, even if we do amend it to extend 10 days to, let's say, 30 days, the president, based on the context, would use his discretion to say maybe the person, based on the nature of the illness, cannot communicate. So maybe a representative of the member could actually submit go ahead and submit within this period that we're going to agree on, within a specified period, right? So they would be protected under the current paragraph 3. But listening to the rationale that you have given, I now believe that an extension of the 10 days should be considered.
Right. I'm not seeking, in this case, to make provisions for any or every.
Right.
But that is likely.
That's a serious context.
It's a context that is likely to happen. And so the intention really is to at least provide some coverage for that aspect in contemplation.
Right, so that would be under paragraph 3, the new 4, but a proposal, a recommendation that I'm making to the committee members is to extend the 10 days to a time frame that we'll,
we can always
agree on.
So let me ask, why would it be necessary? Because if I think, as I understood Senator Gale, that he was also inquiring whether outside of the member, another person could make the submission. All right, don't turn off the mic. Don't. So why not just include? Why extend the 10 days as against including the provision
to state that an individual for and on behalf of the member.
I wouldn't even want to just leave it to any individual. They both side, well, I suppose, even
a next of kin?
Even looking forward,
it could even be another member,
I was, yes.
Making the proposal.
Yes.
But what you give is that you provide some latitude outside of the member that is unable to attend.
Sure.
That there is some remit for others to make that submission, even on behalf of the member.
Yes. Why I kind of halted in my comment, Senator Gale, was whilst in the current system, current dispensation, you have a leader of government business, you have a leader of opposition business. But in some, what I see as the proposed reform where you may have other persons in an expanded Senate, and I would have go with what you're indicating, just leave it for another member. Instead of being the leader.
You don't have a point to next of kin or grandcousin.
Yes.
So just another member.
Yes. You just want to have another channel to which that request or application can come from, and it is received.
Agreed. So the amendment would be to our current paragraph 3, new paragraph 4.
Well, it may be.
I think it's most appropriate there.
We're putting 3. 3 is being is being
right. So
escalated to 4
we're
now.
going to tab down. So we're going to insert this new paragraph 2, and then the current 2 would be 3, and the current 3 would be 4.
But wouldn't you start it in 2?
You would want...
Because you have in 2 where any member who is unable to attend the sittings of the Senate for each period specified in paragraph 3.
Shall apply in writing to the President.
Himself, this is no...
Right, I get you.
Yeah.
So you want me to include it, further amend the new paragraph 2 to include a provision. Right. Very well, noted.
Right. It's tidier there.
Yes, I get you. Thank you for the comments and the feedback. Appreciated. Just for clarity, so this provision is okay, subject to the inclusion of the recommendation. All right, thank you.
All right, so, sorry, Senator Morgan.
Yeah, but Chairman, the question of the window of time, we have not quite articulated what it is or how we're minded on the matter, whether it's 30 days, 20 days. You know, I know that the 10-day window is essentially a fairly tight turnaround time, and what I'm gleaning from the committee and support staff is that a greater period of time would perhaps be appropriate in the circumstances. So I don't know if we would want to say 30 days.
When you say a greater, that would be what is the current 3 within 10 days, right?
Yeah. So the current stipulation is a 10-day window.
So what would, I mean, because, yeah, let me see if I can gather it too, with your assistance.
The present 10 days forms the assumption that the senator who is absent or will be absent is in a position.
You sound like you're speaking about a person who is completely incapacitated.
There you go. May happen.
Come on, man. But if all right, hold a second. Are you saying to me, let us put up a worst case scenario. So there is a person is in a coma, right? Nobody knows about that for 10 days. No member, because if you are extending it to the opportunity not only of the member himself, but for another member to make that submission.
Well, we said it, another member could have made the submission.
Right. So,
and
that person, you don't...
you don't have to appear as if you're fighting us for this.
I'm not fighting, I'm just asking.
And
as if 10 days is not 10 days.
You're correct,
Yes, don't turn off the mics, please.
Chair, I think we can consider the spirit of this particular aspect in that the 10-day period of time would have related to the member in question undertaking a certain action, right? What we are considering here is a scenario where the member may not be in a position so to do, and it is within that context and in that spirit that we are amenable, as it were, to having an upward adjustment to that stipulated window. Because, yes, especially in a period of modern technologies, we saw what happened, God forbid, well, unfortunately yesterday in relation to the Liverpool football player. He was making his way actually to train, pre-season training camp, no longer with us. So you may have a person, yes, being abroad, and God forbid.
Want to apply in that case for
well, that wouldn't arise, because that was the worst case scenario with the Liverpool striker.
You're talking to a Manchester United man, so be very careful.
No, I am not. Let us not have that
discussion. So the point I'm making here is that to the extent that what we're contemplating here is a situation or a scenario in which the member is not able to apprise the president that it would be, useful to have an upward adjustment.
And you're saying that if you were to widen the scope,
that may be, entirely in keeping with the spirit of this scenario that may arise.
All right.
In other words, your family member may be so saddled, Mr. President, with, scrambling with your immediate medical attention, for example, and just those dynamics. And
no,
by
the application would be from a member or another member.
But the family member would have to apprise.
If I knew you had that challenge, Senator Morgan.
I know you would have dutifully
have acted with that.
Promptly.
Yes.
And the assumption is that it is the same kind of written application that would be expected.
Yeah.
If I may just quickly, Chairman, and in a sense towards Member Morgan's point about the spirit of the provisions, if we look at 78.1, at least as it was originally stated, it asks the clerk that the member acquaint the clerk as early as possible of his inability to attend. And then we go over to the section that speaks to the 10 days. And I'm thinking, Chairman, that the spirit of these provisions is that the Senate, through the President, be apprised as soon and as quickly as possible of that absence. And so, while 10 may seem relatively short, I think it's in keeping with the spirit of the general section, which asks for a prompt notification that you were absent or you were unable to attend by whatever means. Now, certainly I take the recommendation that other persons may be able to make that notification, but that would still, the requirement for an urgent notification of absence, I think, is what is trying to be conveyed. And if the members are in agreement with that, perhaps there's some benefit in keeping it, not an extended period, maybe 15 days, but I think anything beyond that may be not in keeping with the spirit of the provisions. And if it is that we want to maintain that, I would suggest that, not too far from the 10 days.
Mr. Cohen and members, when I look on the front page of standing orders of the Senate of Jamaica, it says, adopted by the Senate on the 18th of September 1964. This may have been there from 1964. Right? And one can appreciate the limitations that would have existed at that time. We are in 2025.
You have to send a telegram in 1964.
I don't know if a telegram, probably you would have challenges. Right. But come on, you have the internet, email and all of that. You can, and it takes things act much more quickly than what was in 1964. And from my own view, 10 days in today's world is a really long time. And then I ask a question. Where would you take it to? I heard Mr. Cohen is coming, 15 days. I heard Mr. Morgan say 30 days. In a more modern society where communication can be done much more quickly, right? And persons don't come to the Senate on their own steam, meaning that they are not here alone. And even in the future dispensation where the Senate will be broadened, persons will be coming in that dispensation from other groups that can make recommendations for a particular person to sit in the Senate. So you can't tell me that there is no way of the communication coming, that the written communication to the president can't be done expeditiously. And as Mr. Cohen said, when you start from the what is contained in 78.1 in relation to the word in there, which seems to suggest some urgency in respect to that type of communication. For me, I wouldn't go beyond the 10 days. That's just my position. But I've always been outvoted.
I mean, Chairman, I hear you, and I don't mean to unduly detain on this point, but one of the things I'm casting my mind to is if we contemplate a development that would cause a senator not to be in a position to use the orthodox channel to apply for leave of absence, it may well be a situation that is not just unforeseen, but potentially so grave and traumatizing that even the person's next of kin, let us say a senator's wife or husband as the case may be, having regard to what is operating on the person's mind in that moment, you have the immediate stabilization of the person to attend to the emergency room, for example, God forbid, and whatnot. So in a 10-day period of time, just in relation, Chairman, to what is operating on a person's mind, this tight 10-day turnaround time, notwithstanding the technologies at our disposal, may be a bit much. And that's why I'm saying I am not averse to an upward adjustment, because when you consider a traumatizing event or development, you have to consider what may be operating on the mind of and just the sheer reality of the senator's next of kin, for example, and immediate household persons who may be in a position to know what is going on, to in turn be able to alert his colleagues or the persons with whom he or she caucus of that development.
I'm just thinking, whenever we draft legislation, for example, in a situation where, for example, the new amendments to the Road Traffic Act 2025, when, let's say, a license has been suspended or revoked, if an appeal needs to be made to a tribunal, the standard provision is always a 14 days turnaround to make the appeal. So if you're going to extend it, maybe along those lines, 14 days, I don't know. It's for the committee to decide.
So 2 applications has been made. In the first instance, to create an opportunity for someone else apart from that senator who may be unable to attend to make the submission. No, it is not limited to a member. It assumes that a member could make it, as well as the relative.
So we have to decide.
Are we going to be specific?
So we have to decide. We have to be specific.
So
for the
it
purposes
can't
of
come
clarity.
from the application, can't just come a general application on behalf of.
But we have to decide. Members, next of kin, we don't want to extend the latitude of who.
Okay, all right.
I'm satisfied, and this is not something that is new to us, because we had some discussion about it previously.
And it would have happened.
Yeah, precisely. So I think that we work with the member, and the 10 days is adequate, not only for the fact that we are in a different age. The donkeys, the jackass is not coming from some rural. I almost get myself in trouble, you know. The jackass is not coming from some rural parish. And also
the jackass.
And also the Senate itself would have taken note of any untoward development concerning an individual. If there was a trauma to any member of the Senate, certainly the clerk would take note of it and inform the president if it is that the president in his own capacity don't notice it. So I don't think we need to delay ourselves.
So with that means
we have currently attendance in another way. So I can only see this happening in an almost extreme kind of situation. Person in a coma, unable to act for himself, but then it would have to also put every other person who is a member of the Senate, whether it's on this side or on that side, or when we get the expanded Senate in the independent group, in a state where information is not available for that extended period of time, I just can't see why we're going to.
All right, so we're going to, I appreciate your contribution. I was listening to it, although I was elsewhere. I had indicated that I was at Mr. Right Excellent Norman Manley's wreath laying. I'll make mention of that in the Senate, but I was following it, so Madam, we'll work with the situation as it exists in terms of.
Chairman, that the communication could come from the member himself,
yes,
or another member, yes, on that member's
within
behalf.
The 10-day period.
Yes,
yes,
but not to adjust the 10 days.
That's what you said. That's what I said.
All right.
I did not interpret what you said.
Look here, man, if I never
way.
say it is what I mean.
Right. So we will go with the amendment that I propose to insert the new paragraph 2, but I'll do a further amendment to include the issue raised in terms of where there's an extreme or alternative situation, as you have just described. A member may inform the President of the Senate within the 10-day timeline. And in regards to your query, Senator, whether the word prior to should be included, or you had asked about prior to, you wouldn't need to include prior to in the proposed new provision because it says within 10 days of the intended date of absence. Right, correct. Thank you.
So we need sir, are you saying that you need another date to do the inclusion, or because it's not a major adjustment?
No, not a major adjustment,
so
no.
why we can't do it now and sign off on it?
We understand the spirit now of the adjustment.
Right.
Justin Clear is saying that we want to just sign off on it.
Sign off on it, no.
All right, so let me go again. So any member, and you can interject, any member who is unable to attend the sittings of the Senate for such period specified in paragraph 3 shall in writing to the President in such form and manner as may be prescribed by the President to obtain leave of absence within 10 days of the intended date of absence, specifying the period of absence, the reason for the leave of absence, and any other relevant information. Now, in the event that a member is unable to obtain leave of absence,
make such
application, another member may do so on behalf of.
Just send me
you see, we're talking from this, but we had this experience. We had this experience.
Right, so if a member is unable to make such application, Right, so if a member is unable to make such application, a representative, right.
Sir, good morning.
All right,
yeah,
let
we were
me
saying a representative
Sorry.
gives you more scope as to who can make the president of the absence instead of just any member, exactly, any family member. Pardon? No, just next of kin.
The representative is, when you go to representative, who is representative? The representative can be anybody, sister.
Yeah,
Some
but if
other
it's a
person outside of
private
the outside. I don't think that we need to go there. My view is
said that we would stay with a member. Another member can make the.
So, for an example, a next of kin would have to inform
Look here,
any member of the House.
No, Miss Lowe, what we are saying is this. What is the chance, God forbid, of one of our colleagues having a difficulty like this? And the 13 and the 20, nobody in here, no, not even the clerk? Nobody. Switzerland? Look. where you're coming from, the Bahamas, where you were, Turks and Caicos? It could be the Turks and Caicos. That's your story, and you are sticking to it. I don't think we need to go beyond the Senate. And Ms. Lowe, try remember we had a situation like this in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
You remember what I'm talking about?
Yeah. All right,
So if a member is unable to make such an application, another member may do so on the member's behalf. Simple.
Because I was going to start it probably a little earlier. This would have been my position. In their redraft 2, any member who is unable to attend the sittings of the Senate for such period specified in paragraph 3 shall himself or by another member apply in writing. So it captures it from the outset that the person can do that. And if you want to repeat it in your subparagraph that comes after, which is I think that would be 4, right?
Right, but that wouldn't be necessary based on the clarity that would have been provided.
If you brought it forward.
Right, if you brought it forward, that wouldn't be necessary.
Okay.
So let's decide, do we prefer this new approach or the initial approach? As in, just to continue if a member is unable. Let's decide as a committee.
I would recommend the approach put forward by Senator Sinclair only because it is succinct and very clear.
Very well,
Not
agreed.
Subject, in my opinion, to any misunderstanding. Yes.
Very well, so let me just read. Any member who is unable to attend the sittings of the Senate for such periods specified in paragraph 3 shall apply himself or by another member, shall himself or by another member apply in writing to the President in such form and manner as may be prescribed by the President to obtain leave of absence within 10 days of the intended date of absence, specifying the period of absence, the reason for the leave of absence, and any other relevant information. That's fine. Agreed. Thank you.
So we sign off
Thank you very much. So we sign off on that. I'm going to notify the members and through the clerk and through our clerk as to where we are going to proceed from here, because I want to close off this procedure certainly by December. Certainly by December we'll close off this thing here, all right? So thank you very much, Mr. Sinclair, for sitting in today. Thank you, Madam Clerk and members of Parliament, and thank you to our esteemed committee clerk. Notice you have to be very nice to her now, and put esteemed in front of her name, because a lot of the work is now going to fall on her shoulders. So thank you very much. This meeting of the Standing Orders Committee is adjourned.
They still have all black.
Eh?
She still has all black.
Is that so? Yeah. All right, good.
Breastfeeding support with our clinic. Then teach the young mothers how to breastfeed properly and take care of the picnic. Then teach our family to,
They're going to eat Friday when we go clinic.
And make sure you ask about the breastfeeding support group and join.
Thank you, Mommy. I don't know what me to do without you.
Breastfeeding is an act of love that bonds mothers and babies and provides mothers protection by lowering their risk of developing cervical and breast cancer. Breast is best. This is a message from the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
What if there's a crack in the playfield and one of us falls in? Should we tell the teacher or try to help them out?
That question is one of the reasons the St. Elizabeth Municipal Corporation, along with ODPEM and the Jamaica Fire Brigade, conducted earthquake drills in some schools in the parish as part of an ongoing effort to raise earthquake awareness and ensure preparedness. Students and staff were drilled on safety protocols, aiming to enhance their ability to respond effectively in the event of a real earthquake.
If you are on the outside or in an open area and you realize that there is a crack in the earth, all you have to do is to remove yourself from that location and take cover elsewhere.
Disaster coordinator at the St. Elizabeth Municipal Corporation, Ornella Lewis, emphasized the importance of these exercises in fostering a culture of preparedness and minimizing risks.
We try to encourage the students and also the staff, visitors who come by, that earthquake preparedness is something that is paramount, and also encourage them that earthquakes happen right throughout the year. We also want to encourage them that earthquakes are always a threat to us here in Jamaica based on our geographical location.
So you're outside and you hear earthquake, the alarm goes off, you duck, you cover on your hole, and you use your hand to kind of block your face. If someone is missing, you tell the teacher that someone is missing, right? You never try to return to the building to find that person.
Earthquake! Okay, give her a clap for me. Very, very good. Right, so you should stay under there a little longer, right? Until you hear the second alarm.
The students' response was commendable in that we have an infant department and see the younger students responding the way they did. That was commendable on their part. There are always areas in which we can strive to improve.
We would have had some mishaps while we were doing our drill, and so we will take into consideration all that was shared with us, and going forward we will ensure with the assistance of the Guidance Council that we practice so that we become perfect at what we do.
Every term we do different simulation exercises. So today we would have showcased what we would have been practicing over the term, last term leading up to this term. So I'm extremely pleased.
At the end of the drill, students gave their take on what they learned.
I learned how to evacuate from the bathroom.
When an earthquake is happen, first thing you do is you duck and go under a desk and hold your head.
And then you will look for until you hear another alarm, and then you will line up and come to the assembly point.
A new story is being written for all Jamaicans. The Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation is on a mission to transform lives. From increasing access to potable water, providing secure homes for the most vulnerable, and helping you own a piece of the rock, we're revitalizing communities and preserving our environment. We're making an impact. See the difference. Feel the difference. Building a better Jamaica for you and me.
You can feel it. Make JC.
In Jamaica, there needs to be one law for all. Every member of this society, regardless of profession, finances, or the area you live in.
I have some bad news.
The company didn't get the contract?
The money they paid us for it has gotten out.
Are you serious?
I'm afraid so, and I understand that there are going to be corruption charges.
Minister, please come with us, sir.
Breaking news. A senior politician and senior civil servant have been charged for corruption.
Thank God not all of them stay so.
Build integrity. One law for all.
A message from NIA.
Are you an entrepreneur producing an excellent Jamaican product or service? Did you know you can earn hard currency and more significant returns by exporting? Contact the Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce to help propel your business along the export lane.
Everything you can produce, the Jamaicans overseas want it. We're not going to get rich by just bringing down the debt. We're going to get rich by exporting a lot more. So grow exports, create job opportunities, drive economic growth through exports to make Jamaica a richer and much more prosperous country.
Washing your hands properly can help keep you and others safe. Remember to wash often, especially before eating or touching your face.
Nah, click on your link for my liquor brother pre that slap bro, we no need that. And the next thing them type a song they are listening online, what kind of thing that some big man pose up on them profile and a put chat to a small child. Watch yourself on social media when you a post boxes, no do nothing too wild. What if your little brother said a post ya? What if your bro dead in a crime video ya? What if your little sister take a one pic and it a put up everywhere like it's a poster? Before me share the post the pic, I ask myself what if I nah comment, I nah go click me. Before me ask what if I nah comment, I nah go click me. Before me ask what if so before you share the post the link, just ask yourself what if yeah. When you're there online, make it a new day at the rhyme. Keep up with the time. Broadcasting commissioner remind you.
Welcome to PBCJ's live coverage of the Senate. I'm Simone Absalom Gale. Before we begin, did you know that the administration of government business is further decentralized through local government entities? These entities are the Kingston and St. Andrew Corporation, KSAC, the Portmore Municipal Council, and 12 parish councils. These elected officials are responsible for maintaining infrastructure and public facilities such as parochial roads, water supplies, drains, parks and recreational centers, markets, transportation centers, and public sanitary conveniences. Under public business, the Road Traffic Amendment Act 2025 is to be tabled and taken. The General Consumption Tax Amendment Regulations 2025 and its resolution is to be taken. The Large-Scale Projects Tax Relief Application Regulations 2025 and its resolution is to be taken. It is designed to provide a clear administrative regime for entities that meet the criteria to qualify for a suite of tax incentives. determined based on the size and scope of the entity proposing the large investment. According to Finance and Public Service Minister Favour Williams, the Act itself signifies a new paradigm shift in the treatment of fiscal incentives. The preference was for a more fiscally responsible approach to tax expenditure and the use of targeted tax credits rather than blanket tax holidays. The Public Procurement Amendment Regulations 2025 and its resolution will be taken. The report of the Special Select Committee of the Senate to consider and report on a private member's motion proposing the creation of legislation for the care and protection of older persons is to be taken. The creation of legislation for the care and protection of older persons involves establishing a legal framework to safeguard their rights, well-being, and participation in society. This includes addressing issues like elder abuse, neglect, and ensuring access to necessary services and resources. That's what's on the agenda. It should be noted that the agenda can be adjusted, with items being added, removed, or replaced. If you are planning to attend a parliamentary session, here are some rules to keep in mind. No visitor shall create any act of disorder within the precincts of the House. No visitor shall be admitted to the House without first obtaining an admission card. Visitors who remain within the precincts of the House during a suspension of the session are asked to keep silent. Now over to the proceedings.
We and the youths united against corruption, changing the world and the way we function. The youths united against corruption, changing the world and the way we function. You remember the youth, them are we future leaders, policy creators, decision makers. As if them are not just the cornerstone, but a crucial part to a better tomorrow. United against corruption, changing the world and the way we function. The youths united against corruption.
Message from the Integrity Commission.
We want a peace for Jamaica. Yeah, yeah. We have to be our brother's keeper. Yeah, yeah. Jamaica live good, yeah. I make we enjoy life. What we feel safe at night. Jamaica live good. I better you and I. No say we future bright. Jamaica live good. Come together as one. I make the violence the one.
Apply to the Heart NSTA Trust. Learn a new skill and expand your horizons. Your government has made it completely free to you.
Zoom in on the nutrition facts. It there in the table on the side or the back. You fi check out the servings, just do the maths. Not taking too much, finger below the facts. Zoom in on the nutrition facts. It there in the table on the side or the back. Take note of the sodium, the sugars and the fats. 5% or less in on the right track. You fi zoom in on the nutrition facts. It there in the table on the side or the back. Vitamins, minerals and fiber to 20% and more that good for you. You fi zoom in. Check the nutrition facts. You fi zoom in. Check the nutrition facts. You fi zoom in. Check the nutrition facts. Less sugar, less salt intake and less fat. You fi zoom in.
A message from the Ministry of Health and Wellness, Jamaica Moves, the Heart Foundation of Jamaica, the National Health Fund, and Japan.
Aspiring gunman, badman, young dance, liquor shutters, the 14, the 15, the 16-year-olds. You still have time to change your future and enjoy your life. No lock, no gun for no guy. And no bother hang with no crowd that is always getting into trouble. Think about your family, your father, your mother, your granny. Some of you good and all have son or daughter. It's not worth it, my youth. Choose freedom.
Me, I go show them my way of justice.
I'm abused.
I need legal advice. I don't deserve this.
The truth of the matter is, justice there for all of we. The Ministry of Justice has trained more than 5,600 persons in restorative justice practices. More than 200,000 victims have been supported by the victim services. Legal aid has reached thousands island-wide. Make we talk it out, not fight it out. Call 888 Justice today.
What is the role of a backbencher in government? I'm glad you asked. They're members of parliament who are not appointed to cabinet. So they sit in the back of the legislature and they apply pressure. They examine what government legislates, participate in parliament debates, raise issues and advocate and question chamber when things don't look straight. Backbenchers represent the constituents in parliament. Backbenchers oversee the interests of citizens, you and me. But how can they be agents of government accountability after them no hold a portfolio? And them and a minister? No. So then how can they facilitate government transparency? And the next thing, them and a front bencher. So how them affect me? You see, a lot of work is in committees. So these portfolio-free MPs with less dire responsibility